Evening, y'all.
Hey, good evening, Primo. Good evening, everyone.
Give folks a little while to log on. My name's Primo, first vice chair of Community Board 9. I'll be facilitating the meeting tonight. Yeah, we'll give it a few minutes, folks. Just be patient. We'll probably take a little while, maybe 3-4 minutes to let folks log on, and then we'll take attendance kind of and get started in the agenda. If you wouldn't mind, while we have you, it seems like we have some representatives from some of the restaurants. Can you or businesses? Can you just name which? Jonathan.
Sure. Yeah, this is Jonathan at Smorgasburg.
Yep. Good to see you again, Jonathan.
Nice to see you.
Mr. Hada is for Aladdin Village.
Yes, here present.
Great.
Ms. Burke, I believe, is for Blue Nick.
Right, yes.
Great.
Hi, my name is Robert Molyneux. I work with Edge Off Dispensary. I'm an attorney, sorry.
Hi, I'm Lori Denman. Robert is my attorney. I'm just trying to get onto video mode. Thank you.
Welcome. Rod, welcome.
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings. And then Zlati, are you the only other member of the committee? Are you the only member of the committee so far? Who else is on the committee? Mia, maybe you can run through attendance for us. You're on mute. Sorry, you're on mute, Mia, if you're speaking, which I think you are.
Okay. Okay. Trying to
Sorry for that, Primo. I was just exiting
Okay,
another meeting.
sorry,
Literally
no.
in my ear. Sorry.
No worries.
still on mute. Okay. What did you ask me, Primo? I'm sorry.
No worries. I was just trying to start taking attendance for this committee. Mia
Oh.
is pulling up the list.
Okay.
Sorry for that, Primo. So membership is as follows: Javi Cohen, Israel Lehrer, Zlati Machkin, Carmen Martinez, and Jean
0.1
Zhang.
miles. Turn right.
Lottie, would you mind muting? Thank you.
Jean is having an issue. His family is being affected by the issue in Haiti, so he will not be able to attend. He contacted the office to advise earlier today.
So far we have Zlati. We need probably Eve and one other member.
Yeah.
Zlati, are you in touch with Eve Cohen?
Yeah. Let me call her because yes, I'll call her right now.
I'm gonna reach out to see if I can get Lara in here immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So for folks who are here, thank you for being here. I want to make sure that we're able to get some business done today. Again, my name is Primo Lasana. I'm the first vice chair at Community Board 9. Previously was the chair of this committee. The chair of this committee has resigned. I am stepping in her absence. And that's part of the reality of what you're going to experience tonight. So want to name that up front. I'm certainly familiar with this space and pretty practiced in moving through this agenda. Tonight on the agenda, we have a number of SLA applications, so thank you for being present. The reason that I'm pushing for attendance right now is because you need a quorum for us to be able to like move this through, to vote on it essentially, and bring it to the larger community board. Here comes Eve, which is great. So that's 2 members, and then we're just gonna need 1 more. So we are waiting on a 3rd member to join, and Mia is reaching out. I will say, if a 3rd member does not join, that does not mean that we cannot move the business forward tonight. It would mean that we.
In 0.1 miles, turn left.
Zlati, would you mind? Thank you.
I just wanted to say that Javi's calling in right now.
Yep, she's on the line.
Okay. Oh, okay, great.
Yep. And then, so we can still hear your applications tonight. It would have to go to the executive committee to vote, which happens the week before the general board meeting. That's just a process perspective if we don't end up getting our quorum tonight. We also have on the agenda 2 OCM applicants from Best New York and then 552 East New York. So want to name that those are on the agenda. I will be very upfront with, here comes Mr. Lehrer. I'll be upfront, and for the members of the committee, this may be the first time that you're hearing this, but want to make sure that like we don't start this meeting with any kind of confusion. It is my opinion that we are not in a place after some conversation with OCM, also seeing some of the disorganization I think that exists internal to CB9 as well as with the Office of Cannabis Management. And without a current chair of this committee, I do not think that we are in a place to take OCM applicants. We can vote on that as a group, but we should probably bring it to the general board. What we can do is we can write a letter to the Office of Cannabis Management and explain that we need to pause applications until we are able to make certain discernments around the application process, which is brand new. And it has caused quite a bit of confusion in early months. And we want to make sure that we are being as thoughtful and intentional as possible with this process. And that is not happening at the moment, in my perspective. And I think from the perspective of other members of the community as voiced at community board meetings. So I'm going to be putting a motion on the floor today to, just so you know, to basically table all licenses and write a letter for me to draft a letter to OCM about CB9 pausing applications until a later time. I would say like that's an item for discussion in our business session, but I also understand if folks have questions at this time. Eve, I'll see 1 or 2 questions just about that thought, and then I'd love to get into some of these SLA applications. There is a lot more information that we've gone about collecting in the past few weeks that I haven't been able to share with you yet. I understand that those are likely the questions that you have. Eve, and then Ms. Boyd. We need you to unmute, Eve.
Okay. Hi, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so actually I'm glad that you brought up this cannabis issue because I remember at one point we had given an okay for a license for Flatbush. I believe it's called Flatbush Organics or Flatbush Boutiques or something like.
No licenses have been voted on by the general board and approved. Just want to name that. So the general board has not approved any licenses. This committee has, the general board has not.
Right. So we had approved 1 license, but there was a second license that that same owner wanted, and we said no, it was too close to the other area, and I passed by with another board member 2 nights ago, and we noticed that they had some kind of license in both places. So I don't know if they made a copy of the license. I don't know how fast we're getting the licenses. How fast are these licenses being being processed. You know, are they actually getting licenses without us knowing? There was another license that it seems that they went through, that we were under the impression that we could approve it, but until it went to the general board and the general board approved it, only then they would be able to get a license. Is that not the case, that if we approve it here, then they could go straight to the cannabis department and request a license?
Okay, so a few items of clarification. Businesses, Flatbush Exotics, for example, does have a license. It is not a license to sell cannabis. There are two different types of licenses. They're basically hemp licenses, which are for lower doses of THC. They're almost non-existent. It's like, you know, the oils and the et cetera that you rub on. So those don't go through the community board. They go through the Office of Cannabis Management. In order to sell cannabis products that are of over a certain intensity, if you will, of THC, then that is what people come to the community board for. So Flatbush Exotics has at least one license for hemp distribution. That's probably what you're seeing. On to the second question, which is around approval processes. This committee had approved licenses. The general board has not. There is a time frame window that we are all concerned about, right? This like 30-day question. I can provide greater clarity on that 30-day question, as we've been in contact with the Office of Cannabis Management as recently as today. And essentially what the Office of Cannabis Management is telling us, right, is from a process perspective, so that members of this committee are clear, once the applicant serves the board with a notice that they have submitted their application to the Office of Cannabis Management, it comes into our board either in person through the office or via email. They have to receive a stamp from the office acknowledging receipt of that application. And once they receive that stamp, that is when the 30-day process begins. We can ask for an additional 30 days from the Office of Cannabis Management. We still would not be in a position to speak on those licenses. In my opinion, many of them are from January, many of them are from before January, which is why we need to put a motion on the floor to basically put together a piece of writing that goes directly to OCM and says, at this point, CB9 is not approving any cannabis licenses. This thing is getting out of control at this point, and we frankly need to stop it. Hopefully that answers your questions, Alicia. Sorry, Ms. Boyd.
I just want to say that I'm glad that we are putting a stop to the applications. I'm glad that this committee is finally going to look at how we address cannabis, because I know I've done my own research and a lot of the committee members do not know anything about cannabis from the discussions that I've been attending. I have sent the community board quite a number of these rules and regulations, and it's surprising that members still are asking these very basic questions that they should already know. So it's clearly this is not a committee, or the members of this committee are not enough informed about what's happening for them to actually make a decision. The only concern that I have, and I would have to ask, is if you have been in contact with the office in the state, is that if you make a decision to decide not to accept any applications, will those applications still move forward? Because we know that our part in this is advisory only, right? We can't technically stop a business from applying for a cannabis license. We just have a say in input in that. So if we decide to do that and say, okay, we can't do anything, will the cannabis office then just say, okay, well, CB9 is out and we're just going to move forward? That's the question that I'm asking you.
Thanks, Ms. Boyd. OCM has not given us like clarity on that exact question. What they have told us is you can do this from a process perspective and it will be taken into consideration. And so like, they're not telling us exactly what they're going to do with that, but they are suggesting that we take that as a possible next step. And so having received that guidance in writing from them, I do think that like it's wise for us to take that next step, as it's one that they've put on the table for us.
Okay.
Just circumvent it, maybe, but we'd love to, you know, I mean, us putting out a letter in writing, I think makes a very public stance that we can call out the state on should they choose to circumvent us from a community perspective. And so that's why I'm advising it as a next step.
And one other thing, because time is of essence for these businesses, you know, they do want to get up and running. They do have the right to make money.
Mhm.
what is our time frame for us here at CB9 to get our act together? And I've asked this several times, why we're not setting a subcommittee that will deal with some of these issues so that we can be up and running for these businesses and do our part as partnerships with these businesses to make sure that they're getting what they need from us.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Ms. Boyd. I think as we look at the rest of what's available to us within this time frame, I'd say I'd have to bring that to the chair. I think the suggestion around a subcommittee is probably the right one. I think frankly, it should probably be two separate committees. I don't know whether we can make that shift in the middle of the year. We didn't know what the volume of applications was going to be. We're seeing that it's massive. And the volume of applications, now that we're seeing them, probably deserves another committee. I can bring that suggestion to the chair. I know you have spoken about a subcommittee, and we can see what we can establish. What I will say, Ms. Boyd, in full transparency, is attendance for this CB9 this year is poor, and adding another committee may not be possible. So it may end up being something that needs to happen for the next cycle of this community board.
But you can do a subcommittee, the subcommittee of this, you could do a subcommittee of the safety committee. And you can also include anybody. I mean, it doesn't have to be just the members of this committee. It could be residents, it could be other board members. I think it behooves us, and we can't do that in the middle of the year. The city, our bylaws do allow us at any time to create a subcommittee. So I don't think we should be dependent upon the membership. And there's enough people here that have Tara, Rod, myself, and some of the members of Shivi and have been, coming to the meetings regularly, creating a small subcommittee of 3 or 4 people. I don't think should in any way stop, but we do have to move forward. We have to make some decisions here. And I've been coming to these meetings for the last 3 months, and I don't see that happening. So that's just my 2 cents. I will be coming to the executive board meeting and asking the executive board meeting to approve the idea of doing a subcommittee so we can get somewhere. Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Of course.
Just one thing is the link on the calendar for this meeting is broken. I have to go into the agenda. People don't know that. I'm trying to get in, just so you know.
Thank you.
Also, Mia, when I tried to get on from the link, I could not. I could not get on from the link. The link kept taking me to the executive committee.
Yeah,
so the link is not working for the public safety.
Understood. Thank you very much, lady. Sorry for the delay.
Great, thank you. I think I don't want to waste any of the OCM applicants' time with sitting through all of the SLA applications tonight. So out of respect for their time, what I'd like to do is put a motion on the floor now and I'll just read out what the motion is, and then hopefully somebody can second it. The motion would be to table all licenses for the moment and to appeal to OCM in writing about CB9. CB9's kind of pausing on applications until further notice. And I would draft that correspondence and share it with this committee for approval to go to the Office of Cannabis Management. So that is the motion that I am putting on the floor. I see Teresa.
I would second it.
Thank you. That was Lottie.
No, that was
Yes.
Mr. Banks. And
Well, then I'll third it.
Okay.
wait,
So, Teresa, do you have a, yes, that motion was passed.
the
But do you
motion on the floor for the committee, Ms. Westerdahl.
there's no discussion about that?
We
Because I,
just did have some discussion about it, but if there's anything that you'd like to add.
yeah, since I couldn't get in, I would just like to add that I'm opposed to that because I think they're just gonna use a loophole, like the 2 applications that have already gone through. They're just gonna go through. OCM isn't gonna care. And I think these at least deserve the community's attention and ability to discuss them and look them over and talk about them because, the horse is gonna leave the barn and we're not gonna have any opinion on it. And I don't think sending a letter to OCM is gonna do any good whatsoever. I think we need to review these and move along, and review them and review them and review them as they should be. putting them back on the table is just not cool. So I'm completely against this, absolutely against it. You're not giving the community a chance to comment. It's gonna be over. So we're gonna have no comment on any of these licenses going forward if you're gonna do that. It's not gonna.
Understood. So what you missed, Teresa, while you were not able to join, unfortunately, was that we've been in contact with the Office of Cannabis Management, and they've made the recommendation to us that we send a letter to comment on this. And so we have that in writing from them. Ms. Boyd asked a question about this as well. It is certainly possible that they choose to circumvent us. This is the best option that we have on the table, and for us to publicize our opinion is kind of the best option that we have at the moment.
So they've prevented us, you, we, and 2 applications that have gone through so far, correct?
And
And
we have asked about those applications, and they have told us that we have the ability to, in writing, provide opinions on those, even though they have been approved. One.
A lot of conversation thinking about how we become.
Ladies and gentlemen, could you please mute yourselves or turn down the volumes in your background? Ms. Boyd, please. Ms. Westerdahl, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Okay. So that motion has been, I guess, voted on to be voted on. Is that correct, Mia, from a process perspective?
No, we should get a verbal vote from all
Yeah.
of the membership here. Ms. Martinez is here, Mr. Banks is here,
Yep. Okay.
Zlati, Javi.
Yep. So let's.
Members, please unmute yourselves and make your vote and give a voice vote, please, for the record.
Could you just call for a vote? Just call on each person individually, Mia. That would be super helpful for me. Thank you.
Sure thing. Javi Cohen?
I'm a little concerned from what Teresa says. If us voting not to have a voice means that all these people are gonna get their go through, that's even worse than us voting and not being fully prepared.
So there are already a number of applications that are past the 30 and 60-day application benchmark. This is the best thing for us to do at this point.
Right. And it's a motion on the floor.
And it's
a motion on the floor.
No.
Okay.
Ms. Westerdahl, please remain muted while the committee votes. Thank you.
I'm gonna, can you ask the other people now and come back to me, please?
Sure thing. Yishro Lehrer?
I approve the motion.
Zlati Machkin?
Yes, I approve.
Carmen Martinez?
I abstain due to the fact that I was not in the discussion from the beginning. I don't want to vote on something that I am not fully prepared to vote on. Thank you.
Understood. Mr. Banks?
I approve.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, y'all. To the members of the the public who are here as OCM applicants, you have our sincere apologies. I think that, to tell you frankly, like the chair of this committee just resigned. I'm stepping in their place. While I have a line of sight to some of this work, some of the administrative pieces need to get sorted out, and this is new work for the state. It is new work for CB9. We want to make sure that we are getting it as right as we can. But to Ms. Boyd's point, there is an urgency to make sure that you can get your businesses off the ground and we can begin to bring in revenue around this. So I'll be pushing, the community board to change structures to make sure that this work can happen. I certainly will be more involved now that the chair of this committee has resigned from the community board. And so my apologies and a commitment for us to try to transform this work into something a bit more meaningful in the future. And we're going to try to get that done within the current fiscal year, which runs through June, so that y'all can be heard. But there's also just a tremendous volume of applications. And right now the structure of having both SLA applicants and OCM applicants during the same meetings is becoming, frankly, impossible to manage. So we have to rethink our structures so that we can hear both sets of applications. And we do apologize again. You are free to leave this meeting if you would like to, but we're going to move on to the SLA applications at this point. And so We up first have a representative from Smorgasburg or Brooklyn Flea, a returning customer for sure. This is a renewal of a liquor, wine, and beer license. It is located just kind of right alongside Prospect Park at 153 East Drive. The hours of operations being from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Smorgasburg, it is a small food festival that happens on the south side of Prospect Park. But I'll turn it over to Mr. Butler to say a little bit more about what Smorgasburg brings to the community.
Thanks very much. Pleasure to be back here. This will be our 8th season in Prospect Park and our 14th season of Smorgasburg existing. And yeah, for those of you who haven't been there, it happens in the overflow parking lot for the skating rink during the warmer weather. And it's basically like an oval shape of about 60 food vendors. And we operate a bar out of a shipping container and we've done that in this location as well as our original location in Williamsburg since 2011. And we've never had any problems at all with yes. I'm on a community board meeting, sorry. I can't sit here? Sorry guys, I'm in a lobby and the guy's telling me I can't sit here. Okay, that's fine. Sorry about that, guys.
Just to name this, and for all applicants, the community board office looks into complaints from the police and FDNY. This business has received none, nor have any of the businesses that we are about to hear tonight.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't been there, it is really like a launching pad for small mom and pop food businesses. You know, there's no big chains or anything like that. It's really for, at this point, hundreds of small food businesses in Brooklyn have gotten their start with us. And so that's kind of for us, the most satisfying part about it is that we sort of provide this platform, and it brings in quite a number of people, and it's a really helpful way, especially when restaurants have gotten so expensive to start, to really like sort of the first rung on the ladder for people to start their food businesses.
Great. Any questions? I see Miss Westerdahl has her hand raised.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I go to Smorgasburg and have been many times for many years. And I live close to the park. And I do want to make a point that the trash situation after you guys are there is getting bad. And it's not a small food festival. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that go in there for that. And they get takeaway and they just leave stuff all over the park. It's a mess afterwards. I go there in the morning, walk my dog, and I'm like, oh God, Smorgasburg is back. So then I go and get a hamburger on Saturday. But anyway, please, can there be some kind of effort made by the organization to do an extra cleanup, because funds are getting cut for the park and cleanup, and it would be really helpful if you guys put in something or some way to do more cleanup, because it's not going to happen from the parks because of the fund cutting.
Right.
So letting you know.
Yeah, I understand.
Help that out. Can you help out?
Yeah, I mean, just so you know, we have about a dozen staff members going around clearing garbage all day long, and we have someone come back the next morning too. But as you know, I mean, there are people who are also having cookouts. We have problems with tons of illegal vendors who set up outside and stuff. And so we do our best, and I'll bring it up with our operations manager to make sure that extra sweep is happening the next morning.
Yeah, just do a little more, please, because we're going out of funds. You guys are making money. Let's keep the park clean. So
100%, yeah.
Nip it in the bud, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And maybe a note for us also, Mia, to have a cross conversation with Deputy Superintendent Lopez from sanitation.
Right.
Expressed openness to helping in her new role.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said, it's also it's a complicated issue because there's a lot of illegal vending going on, and the NYPD thinks it's the park police's problem. It gets tricky, but we'll double down and devote more resources to it for sure. But if it's possible.
And we should bring Miss Boyd has her hand raised. Miss Boyd.
Yeah, and one other concern, like you talked about the illegal vending. I've been seeing people selling alcohol and selling weed, putting up weed tents. I mean, there's no police around this event. It's getting out of control, and everybody's pointing the finger to somebody else as being responsible. But why do we have a committee where we have to supervise, legalize alcohol and weed products, and yet we have the Smorgasburg every Sunday selling these products. I mean, out there right in the open.
Well, first of all,
Signs.
we don't sell any. We don't sell
I'm not saying-
any
I'm
weed
not talking-
products.
Sir, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the fact that this Smorgasburg is attracting all of these vendors, and no one's paying attention to the products that they're selling to the community, unlawful products. Where's our police here? I never see the police department here. I think the police need to start coming to this event, and it should be a part of the police routine to be there and make sure that these vendors are not selling unlawful weed products. And I mean, they put the tent right up, says weed
I
selling.
know. We've been
There's some
begging
kind of background
for
noise.
years. We've
Yeah.
been begging for years for them to come.
If you,
we
if
can't
you'd
get them
like
to
us
come.
to, the recommendation is for us to talk to NYPD. We're happy to do that.
Yes. Yes,
so
please.
we can do
I
that.
And
think that there should
we're
be a
happy to be a
letter.
part of it too.
We should be sending a letter to the the 71st precinct, or whoever's supposed to monitor the park, because you know sometimes there's a division in line, and say to them, like, you need to be there, you need to be visible on this park at the Smorgasburg on Sundays, and we would like that. I would hope that a motion could be put on the floor here at the Parks Department, at the Safety Committee, sorry, that you will entertain that letter and give it to and whoever is responsible, because I know that there's a border. Some claim that one precinct is responsible for it because it's inside, another says it's outside, and this is happening both inside and outside the park.
Yeah.
The entrances. So
sounds good.
71st precinct still should be responsible for at least the selling of the stuff outside. So
Yep.
I would hope that it would go to both precincts. Thank you.
Yeah, the other precinct is in charge of the park, not 71st.
Well,
And
we're gonna reach out to our contacts at both precincts and
I'll-
see who's trying to assume responsibility for this, and then what we can do.
Yeah,
When does Smorgasburg kick off?
April 7th. I actually just met with the Prospect Park Alliance 2 days ago.
Mhm.
And so I got the lit and I know NYPD has said it's the parks, the police, whatever, the park police who's supposed to be dealing with this. So, everyone's kind of shrugging their,
Moving along.
yeah, and
What
it's
we can do is
obviously
We can
complicated,
reach out to NYPD because we have a relationship with them through this committee, and let's hear what
Yeah.
they say. But
yeah.
we'll-
And if you want, my director of operations is there, all day long, every day, and has been trying to get this problem solved for years. So if you need anyone to come, maybe it's a 3-way sit down or something, we're more than happy. We'd love to help move that along.
Okay, sounds good. Our committee will definitely reach out to both precincts, and I think we need to run this through parks as well.
Yeah.
So,
And the Alliance is very aware of it as well.
the Alliance, that'd be helpful. Maybe if you could put us on an email chain with the Alliance for Prospect
Okay.
Park. Thank you all for voicing these concerns. They all sound incredibly valid. And we'll take some next steps after this meeting. Okay, so having heard this, I think the next step is, let's just vote on this particular application. We don't have to hold this for later. Let's continue to move through it. So at this point, calling a vote for us to pass this along, to approve this for hearing at the general board meeting this month. So Mia, if you could call for a vote, that would be helpful.
Harvey Cohen,
Yes.
excuse me, Mr. Banks, I skipped over you. Ronald Banks,
I approve.
Yishra Lehrer,
Yes.
Zlati Moshkin,
Yes.
Carmen Martinez.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's it. Great. Thank you all. We will see you at the general board meeting, Mr. Butler, and we'll be in contact in between to talk about police presence, the park, and all of those things. Thank you for your
Super.
vote.
Thanks very much.
with us. Yep. Have a good evening. You're welcome to stay if you want to, but I know you probably don't have space. Okay. Up next is Antojitos del Patron Mexico Snacks, which is located at 52 Lincoln Road between Ocean and Flatbush Avenues. This is a renewal of a liquor, wine, beer, and cider license. The hours of operations are Monday through Thursday, excuse me, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then Friday, can you just double check that, Mia, that it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and not 1 a.m.? And then Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. And I believe we have a representative present, do we? Is there a representative?
Yes, Anna Prince should be here.
Okay, Anna.
Hi all, how are you?
We're doing well, thank you. If you could just say a little bit about your business, and your intentions with this renewed liquor license.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Anna Prince. I'm the owner of Ish Restaurant too, across the street. We are up for renewal for Antojitos del Patron Mexican Snacks. Our hours of operation are from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday.
Thank you.
Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And this is basically a to-go spot. We have a couple of tables, chairs, but it's mostly takeout. And we've been in the neighborhood for, quite some time already with Taqueria El Patron as well. So I've been in the neighborhood for the last 10 years.
Okay, great.
We have no issues. We have no police reports, no complaints of neighbors, noise or anything like that because, it's mostly takeout.
Right. I see two questions. Thank you, Anna, for your, continued business in our neighborhood. And I know that you're the owner of multiple businesses. So I will pass it over to two questions I see, one from Teresa, and then up next will be Eve Chavez-Cohen.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering with the takeout, can you take out liquor? Like, is this for wine and just liquor? Can you take it out? Can I order like a margarita and have it sent to me from you?
Yes, you can order a takeout. You can have alcohol to go as long as you order food, like a meal or anything like that. You can have a takeout. Also, you can order online, but it's the same. You have to order food with it.
But can I pick up like, say, a meal and a drink and go to the park, like for a picnic?
Yes.
Wow. All right. Thanks. I had no idea.
Yep. Those are the rules. There are certainly still open container laws that are true in New York, but I think we discovered during COVID that those can be skirted a little bit with plastic cups, and that was something that we experienced. But yes, legally that is allowable. Eve Chavez-Cohen, please.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused about the times because I heard 1 a.m. and then I heard 11 p.m. and then what does the application say? And do they have to just like adjust the application because the application isn't saying what they're saying? Like, what's the story with the hours?
Sure, that's a good one. I used my Spark Notes and there was just a typo in the Spark Notes, which is my apologies. So let me pull up, and as a reminder, everybody on this committee has all the applications available to them in their inbox, but I will go through and I will take a look at what is on the application. Give me 1 second just to locate it in the application, just so we're all clear. And we have the hours. Okay, so what we have is Monday through Thursday. I said 1, I meant it should have been 10. There was a 0 missing. So Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. And Sunday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So 12 is the latest hours, and that's on Friday and Saturday.
Okay, she said 11, so I don't know which one it is.
So
yeah, right now we're just on winter time. We're closing at 11, On summer, we close 1 hour later, which is Friday and Saturday, but we never go later than that.
Okay,
And
never later than 12 and only on Friday and Saturday, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay.
good question. Thank you for checking out those details. Are there any other questions? Seeing no other questions. Let's move to vote as a recommendation for this application to move to the general board meeting. So Mia, if you would do us the honors once again of just going by the book tonight, want to make sure we get everything right. We're just going to do a roll call through the vote on this.
Sure thing. Ronald Banks,
Yes.
Eve Shelby Cohen,
Here.
Yishro Lera. Yishro,
He's stepped away from his device briefly.
not a problem. Carmen Martinez. Carmen Martinez.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had unmuted myself. Yes.
Okay, Zlati Machkin.
Yes.
Okay, the vote carries.
Congratulations, Anna. We wish you continued success. We'll see you at the general board meeting at the end of the month.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You as well. Okay, moving on to what's next. Let me just make sure I'm following the agenda correctly. So up next, I skipped around a little bit, my apologies. Blue Nook will be next at 1150 Nostrand Avenue. And let me just pull up my Spark Notes for Blue Nook, which is, it's an application, it's a new application for a liquor, that doesn't sound right. Is this a renewal, Mia?
No, it's a new application. I actually went there to see them. It's that I think they currently serve beer or something like they want to go for hard liquor now.
Okay, so maybe they were wine, beer, and cider or whatever before, and now they're adding, so it's a liquor, wine, beer, and cider license. Their hours of operations are Wednesday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Is there a representative from Blue Nook on the line?
Yeah, that would be me, Heidi Berg.
Welcome.
So they are currently in operation, but in order, according to the SLA laws, they would have to apply as a new applicant, as well as they are changing the entity as well. So they have to serve as a new applicant, but they are existing. They are in the community. It's a very nice, comfortable, quiet setting. Come in with family and friends and dine in. And they haven't had any issues with officers, loud music, garbage. Everything is neat and welcoming. The operations, like you mentioned, is Wednesday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sunday 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, Ms. Burke, are you a representative of the restaurant or the owner of the restaurant?
Representative.
Understood. My recommendation would be that for the general board meeting, the owner of the restaurant make themselves present, okay?
Okay.
And we have a question for Miss Eve Shelby Cohen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she mentioned twice Saturday. I'm just, again, with the hours. One, is it still 7 p.m. at night? Or I think she said Saturday and then Saturday. So was it Saturday and Sunday? Could you just tell me those hours one more time? I know they're closed Mondays and Tuesdays. And then Wednesday to Friday, what are the hours? And then Saturday and Sunday, what are the hours? Because the applications and sometimes what they say is not really, doesn't jive.
Okay, so Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And that's exactly what's on the application.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Thank you.
Great. Okay, any other questions for this applicant?
Are they gonna be serving a brunch or something like that? I think I met one of the owners or something like that, and he said that they would be open for like a brunch or afternoon. Is that not correct?
On Saturday and Sunday, they have brunch.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Great. Okay, so at this point, we will call for a vote. Mia, if you would do us the honors. Once again, this is a vote to recommend that we move to the general board meeting.
Got it. Ronald Banks,
Yes.
Eve Chavez Cohen,
Yes.
Yishra Lera. Yishra Lera,
He's coming off mute. Give him 1 second.
Yes.
thank you. Carmen Martinez,
Yes.
Zlati Machkin, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies. Motion carries.
Wonderful. See you at the general board meeting. And Ms. Burke, again, the owner needs to make themselves present for the general board meeting. It's very rare that something passes through without the owner being present.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Let's keep it moving. Who is up next on the agenda? Gino's Pizza, located at 548-550 Flatbush Avenue between Lincoln Road and Maple Street. This is an application, new application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider. And I see that it's a temporary retail permit. Mia, if you could expand on temporary retail permit a little bit as you did at the last meeting, that could be helpful.
So essentially, it allows the applicant to temporarily make sales like we've seen at other spaces where they're allowed to do over-the-counter sales of beer until or other to-go drinks while their application is finalized by the state. It's a way for essentially the applicant to generate revenue in the interim.
Thank you. So I see hands going up already, but we are just gonna do a little short overview of the hours and information for this business, and then allow them to speak or ask them to speak. So we are, again, give you the address, Flatbush Avenue between Lincoln and Maple, a new application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider, and the hours of operation are noon to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. So I see two hands up. First is Eve Chavez Cohen, and second is Rod Herbert. But first, we'd love to hear from the applicant, who I assume is Mr. Visoki, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Very good. Can I be heard by everybody clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Evan. Thanks for having me this evening. So my client's been in business in the neighborhood for many, many years. As a matter of fact, they were licensed. Unfortunately, they lost their license in COVID, so their establishment is very well known in your community. They never had problems, at that time. It's a small restaurant, pizzeria, very, very extensive menu. They're looking for very limited hours, noontime till 10 p.m., 7 days a week. I submitted very extensive menu, just background music, nothing other than that. The place is for under 74 people. The 32 seats, 8 tables, small bar area, and 5 employees. Like I said, they've been in business for many, many years in that location. And it's really it. It's like they said, they were licensed already, so they're new now because they had lost their license. So obviously it's a brand new application, but I don't really have anything really more to offer you. We've submitted, the diagrams of the place. Like I said, they've been there for many years. I think they're well known in the community. my client got, I think 30 or some odd signatures from local residents within several blocks from the location, and I think it's gonna be a welcome place. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them, but I'd be thrilled if all the places in my community board were going, was this type of a place, as opposed to, a bar or a club. It's gonna well serve the community with their food.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much, Mr. Visoki. I see three hands raised, so we'll start off with Eve Shabby Cohen. Next, we'll go to Rod Herbert, and then we will end on Teresa Westerdahl. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Primo, this is kind of like a question for you.
Mhm.
Flatbush Exotics is on that block, I believe. A few stores next to it. They apply for cannabis. Aren't you supposed to be not farther from someone serving alcohol?
At the
Or-
moment, those two entities, I believe, do not interact, which is, the rule is a distance from another cannabis dispensary. And so there's that rule. And then for liquor licenses, they kind of like interact with other liquor licenses. So it's not about the proximity of a dispensary to a bar, but of a bar to a bar and a dispensary to a dispensary.
Okay, all right, thanks for the clarification.
Mr. Herbert.
Yes, hi. Can you just clarify? I'm not that familiar with this process, but how did COVID affect the liquor license? How did you lose it due to COVID? That I don't quite understand.
So from what I understand, basically the sales weren't there and they just didn't want to keep it up. I mean, the place was really not, they were in business, but that part of it, having the liquor license, having to renew it, I guess at that time, they didn't feel that there was like a need for it. But when I looked on the LAMP system of the New York State Liquor Authority, there's like a drop down when you could look as far as any issues or any disciplinary matters of anything, and there was nothing on there. So it just said it was inactive on a certain date, and it was just never renewed.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Teresa, fire away.
Yeah, hi. Are you their attorney?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry for the T-shirt. I come from Staten Island. The traffic was insane, and I was battling traffic, and I got to the meeting at 7:15. I'm usually very prompt, so I just kind of raced to my desk.
Well,
Yeah.
that's okay. I just wondered because usually the people that run the place come, and I appreciate you being here, but it would be really great to make sure they come to the meeting. And I'm familiar with this place, and it would be great for them to have, I've enjoyed a glass of wine there, so it would be great for them to have that back again. So
And
yeah.
I'll let them know. Like I said, they were licensed already. If they were new applicants, I would definitely encourage my clients to come to introduce themselves. I just kind of felt that at this point, there was some familiarity and the nature of the business, so.
We would, to Teresa's point, we would strongly encourage them to come to the general board meeting.
Yeah.
Because we almost always see basically owners every time at the general board meeting, so can excuse their absence from this particular meeting, but it would be helpful, especially since it is a new license again.
Okay.
And it's good for their business too, because then they get support. Everybody sees them. It's good. I know it's good.
Okay, I'll let them know. I'll let them know the concerns. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Neil.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
At this point, seeing that there are no.
I have a question. I can't figure out how to put my hand up.
Okay, so go ahead.
Are they open or are they undergoing construction?
No,
We were
no,
there
they've been open for years.
we were there on Tuesday at 9:30 and it was closed tight like a drum.
Well, their hours
So-
are pretty much till 10. I guess if it's slow, short,
Yeah,
maybe they leave a little early, but
okay. And the other liquor license that we just voted on, the IX and the other one, it's literally across the street. So
Yep.
I don't know, maybe it's 205 feet, because I think that's the rule, that they're not supposed to be within 200 feet of other liquor licensed.
that's actually a church rule.
yeah.
You're
The
not supposed
church.
to be with 200 feet of a church or a school. And if the location is within 3 or more other full liquor establishments within
Oh.
500 feet, there's a separate hearing, but.
Okay, so that's two.
There's,
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
there's two different rules to, that point. There is a 200-foot rule, which is about, churches and religious establishments. And then there is a 500-foot rule, which is within a 500-foot radius, proximity to other full licenses. There should not be more than 3. But it is also, again, this is something that is adjudicated by the State Liquor Authority. However, we can flag it for them as a concern. Ms. Boyd.
Yes, I've been watching this particular legislation going through the Senate, I think it is, and I think I'm very, very concerned about it because as you already know from the city of Yes, that there seems to be this indication that businesses can basically do what they want to do now in our communities. There seems to be a laissez-faire kind of position. I think that I would like to.
Alicia, could you please close the background noise? We
Oh,
can't
yeah,
hear
sorry
you.
about that. So, okay, is that better? Did I get better?
You got a
Yes,
little
thank you.
better.
No, okay, hold on.
Sounds like a radio, or it's probably a radio.
No, I'm in a you guys got two
Oh.
meetings going on today.
Is
And
this
I'm
the
trying to
hospital
be-
one?
The
hospital
park one,
also?
the park one about
okay.
Mount
Gotcha.
Prospect Park. And so I'm
Gotcha.
concerned about that as well. So I do apologize. However, I think that it's important that the community board take a stand on this. I would hope that this committee would definitely state that they are not in support of the legislation, that they ask the general board to support a letter from this committee saying that they are not supporting this general legislation, because what we will do is we'll just allow all of these liquor license and cannabis licenses now to just be everywhere with no restrictions. They're talking about the restrictions are only if you have a certain amount of people. So they conveniently left out Manhattan and allowing Manhattan to still maintain those restrictions, but all the outer boroughs, we will then be flooded. And so I'm asking that a motion be put on the floor for this committee to say that they oppose the legislation and ask that it go to the general board, that the general board also approve this motion, this letter, and that it be sent to all of our elected officials, specifically our state and assembly people. And that should include all the state and assembly people that are a part of CB9. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Let's hold that item for our business session, particularly around this, and have a conversation about the proposed legislation, and potentially having a motion put on the floor as well. So let's talk about it. But I want to recognize that we are about to vote on the application at Gino's Pizza. So Mia, I will call on you once again to run us through the vote.
Sure thing. Mr. Ronald Banks,
Yes.
Eve Shabby Cohen. Eve Shabby Cohen,
Abstain.
thank you. Yishro Lehrer,
Yes.
Corbin Martinez,
Yes.
thank you. Zlati Machkin,
No, like I said, there's 2 full liquor licenses basically across the street, and a half a block down, there's another full liquor license. So that I vote no.
thank you.
Mia, you're muted if you were gonna.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, we have 3 members in favor, 2 and 1 abstention and 1 no. Motion still carries.
Okay. This will go to the general board meeting. I think, I forget whether it was Lati or it was Lati, I believe. If you want to have a conversation about this at the general board meeting, we can. I think we should also talk about a little bit about the perhaps flagging this for the SLA, if we would like to.
Right.
Let's have a
Okay.
conversation about that, just because it's not something that we technically adjudicate, but it's something that we can have a voice in. Cool. So we'll see you, Mr. Visoki, at the or the owner of Gino's at the general board meeting at the end of this month. Thanks for joining us today.
Do you have the date handy?
It is
Or
the
Tuesday the 26th, 7 PM. I'll send you the details.
Thank you.
Sure thing. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and on to our last application, which is from Aladdin Village, which is located at 1034 Nostrand Avenue. That is the corner of Sterling Street. It is an application for a new liquor, wine, beer, and cider license. The proposed hours of operation are Tuesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. I know that we have a representative here. I believe it's Nicole Tejada. So please tell us more about your business in this application.
Hi, Primo. Thank you for having us. So I'm representing Joseph Shafay, who is currently in process of opening a new business on Nostrand Avenue. He currently already runs a business there, also known as the Falafel House. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with it. He currently is also a licensee holder with SLA at Chateau Captain, which is located in Coney Island. Yusuf, is Coney Island Avenue? Basically what I'm trying to say is he's not new to this. He's very much aware of how the process goes. The idea right now is basically opening up a family-oriented business. Everyone is welcome. Basically, they'll sit down, small place. It's a mix of American and Mediterranean dishes. Operational hours are from 10 to 11. Kitchen will be closing an hour prior to closing. Yusuf would basically be giving enough opportunity for residents to, find an opportunity in the business fields. The establishment also offers moderate price plates, so everyone is basically able to, attend. And it's also located in a very busy commercial area. So we see it as a public interest for everyone in Brooklyn.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Yusuf wants to add anything to that, but that's a small recap of basically what's the idea behind it.
Helpful. Yusuf, you're on mute. I feel like you're trying to talk, but you're muted at the moment.
Oh, you're talking about me?
Oh, no. I was talking about the business owner. Yeah, you're good. I saw you're on the phone. You're in your second meeting. Go ahead, Yusuf, you're still muted. I can ask you to unmute. I'll try that.
I got it.
How many seats are in the restaurant?
About 20 to 24 is gonna be.
That's it. We walked by on Tuesday. We poked through whatever kind of little holes in the paper that we could look through, and the place looks huge.
Actually, it's not. It's 1,000 square feet, and I cut and I cut almost most than half. Went away for a kitchen and
the kitchen. Okay.
And the bathroom.
Right.
And,
okay.
Yeah, and the only area I have left it's about 20 to 24 feet.
Well, okay. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see a question. Miss Boyd, I wasn't sure. I feel like you had your hand raised before. I don't know.
Yes, I did have my hand raised. I'm a little concerned about the early hours of the liquor, and I'm just trying to, I know that neighborhood. I live right there on Sterling Street, and I'm not sure why we should be serving liquor so early in the morning. I think that they should be willing to reduce that early time. Why we need to have liquor selling at 11 a.m. in the morning is a little, especially because this is a predominantly residential neighborhood.
Just to put clarity, Ms. Boyd, is the application doesn't ask the hours that you're serving, it just asks the hours that you're open. So it's hours.
Okay, so what is the hours that they're serving? Thank you. I misunderstood that. What
So the morning, basically, the morning would be a breakfast menu. And I believe drinks would be starting once regular happy hour hours. You saying like it's not like we're going to be selling cocktails at 10 a.m.
Nicola, please give me times. Don't tell me about a happy hour. Please give me time.
Yusuf, what time would you start selling alcohol?
We gonna be open from 11 to 10. So let's say somebody came and placed an order, he's not gonna be able to eat before 12 o'clock.
But drinking, we're talking about alcohol.
Drinking
in
like
particular.
around 4 o'clock.
So 4 p.m. Does that sound
Yeah.
correct to you, Yusuf?
Yes, I mean, at 4, even at 5 o'clock, maybe we will start serving liquor.
So then I ask that that be noted in the application that the serving of the alcohol would be at 5 o'clock. And so that it's clear when they are allowed to sell the alcohol. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Will that be reflected, Primo, in the change?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We haven't done that in the past for applicants because it's not in the structure of the application. And so I'm just thinking about if we were to make a decision like that, we'd probably have to shift our applications in general.
Well, I've seen this in other community boards where, you know,
I'm just telling you it hasn't been done in this one, but
Right. Well, I've seen where an applicant, you know, has a particular hour, but then they also have within that hour,
Yeah.
they have, okay, we're serving alcohol at this time.
I
And
think
so I know that it is possible for that to happen. They do it quite often down Brooklyn Heights.
certainly seems possible. We just haven't done that. We just haven't set that precedent here yet, but I think
Well, this might be the time to do that because I think selling alcohol that early in the morning is not conducive for this neighborhood. If they're
It
willing to
was
do
for
the
an
5
intention
o'clock,
to sell
4 to
alcohol
5,
early in the
if they're willing to do the 4 or 5, I think we should put it into the application that is stipulated between, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock, that alcohol will be served.
understood. Okay, so we see a few other folks have their hand raised, so would love to have members of the committee share their opinion on this. And I think what we can do for this application, if it, behooves the committee, would be to just kind of add a rider to this application stating that the hours of service of alcohol would be from X time to X time. And that would be a conditional vote then, and we would hope to see it shifted by the time and kind of approved in writing by the time that we would go to the general board meeting. That is something that we could do. And I see a few hands raised, so would love to hear from folks. And then I think there's probably a wider conversation to be had about updating the actual application to including not only hours of operation, but also hours of alcohol service, which makes a lot of sense to me personally. Yep. But we're gonna get some questions from the members of the committee, if that's okay. All right. So I see Yves Shavi-Cohen, I see Rod Herbert, I see Teresa Westerdahl, and I see Ronald Banks. That's 4 speakers. I will ask you to be as brief as you can with your comments. Yves, you're
Okay, yeah, hi. Yosef, I think, excuse me if I'm saying your name a little wrong. Is there going to be any kind of music in the restaurant?
No.
No music.
I'm sorry if I may interrupt. So on the application, we did state that there's only going to be background music at the establishment.
Yeah, I mean the music. We can have like a speaker playing. I mean the music, not like a band, not like a band or something.
So no live music, in other words. It's just going to be speaker music, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and you're open daily till 11?
Yes, ma'am. Not daily. We're gonna be closed on Monday.
Okay. So it's a little bit of a residential area. Did you get any signatures from the neighbors? Did you speak to the neighbors? Because 11 is a little late during the weekdays for people who putting their kids to sleep and things like that. And
it is a necessity of the application that new applicants receive signatures. They are included in the application that you have in your inbox.
Okay, all right, because I didn't see it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Rod Herbert.
Yes, okay. Hi. Well, first of all, one of my concerns was what Ms. Boyd voiced. I'd like to, see stipulated times with regards to when the liquor is being distributed from the business. Also, are you also the owner, according to your application, do you also own the Falafel House just up the street?
The falafel house, yeah, just up the block. It's me and my brother. I own it, yes, but it's not paper under my name. It's under my brother, but I'm the one who who does everything.
Okay, so you manage both locations?
Now I'm here. When we open that one, I'm gonna move to over there, and my brother will be more here.
Okay, all right. All right, so my concern, this is just general, right, for me, and for a lot of people, I would say, is that, I went on the, we know that liquor generates a lot of business, a lot of foot traffic and so forth, right? And that's what builds your business, it's those liquor sales, right? So my concern is that I went on the Department of Health website and I saw some major violations, right, as far as food preparation and sanitation. And since there's going to be a lot of people that's going to come to your business, right, and liquor is going to drive in that business, and I would like to see a first inspection of that site that you're currently opening before a liquor license is approved, because I saw some major violations here. It probably won't,
you saw the violation?
Yeah, I saw a lot of violations there for the existing business on Nostrand Avenue. And
You
I
mean
just want to,
for the Jerusalem Falafel House?
yes, sir. And what my concern is, the management team from that Falafel House is going to go to this location and there's going to be more business and so forth. Me, I would like to see that at least a first inspection be performed before a liquor license is approved. That's what I would like to see.
I mean, I do have an A on my window. Right now, I could walk and show you. I passed my inspection, not with even 1 point. Yes, my first inspection, they came. They had violation. It was all cleared, probably the next day. And they came, I had my second inspection and nothing was found at all. I mean, I got no points at all on my second inspection.
No, and congratulations that you made those corrections. Right?
Thank you.
But, that's something that I would just like to see. And that's all. That's the end of my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Teresa.
Yeah, I asked for the forms and the applications to be sent to me, and they were not. I asked the office maybe a little later in the day, but I wasn't able to view them. So I would like to be able to view the applications. I'm not on the committee, but I am a board member. I am wondering, I'm finding out this is a liquor license. I'm wondering why not just beer and wine to start out, until you build up a nice reputation in the community. There's also quite a lot of graffiti on that space. Like, I've been told that that's gang graffiti. I'm not sure, about that, but it is a mess over there, all over the building, and looks terrible. And I'm wondering why that hasn't been cleaned up, why that's been allowed to exist. It's been there for, an increasing as the building has been going on. It looks terrible. And you're gonna have a speaker, yes, but we had another application recently where it was just seemed very innocuous, burger place, very nice. But they had a speaker and a big speaker and another speaker, and it was so loud, the neighbors are complaining and upset. We don't want upset neighbors. We don't want complaining. We don't want loud. We don't want loud. We can be very loud with the speaker. So we want nice, low, soft music, entertainment, everything. We want neighbors to be happy that are near you. We want them to be happy. Cool. So we're hoping that you hear that, and we don't want to have you come back, with these kind of complaints, because it makes a lot of stress for the neighborhood when there's loud. Please yourself. So think about that. Thank you.
The graffiti, I don't know if you saw, I changed the whole front. I bought brand new.
It's all up above it. I was by there this week. It's all up above, all
Ms.
around.
Westerdahl, very quickly, it is not the job of the tenant to power wash an entire building. It is the owner of the building.
But also,
He is the ground floor commercial tenant.
I mean, I changed the whole front. I even I put under the sign, I covered it with nice wood on top of my front, and I changed my whole front. And they did put the graffiti on my new glass, my new storefront.
Sorry
And
about
it's nothing, it really hurts me like crazy. I spent almost $32,000 on my storefront, and I came a week later and I saw it, yes, in a graffiti. I do clean always, but I don't know, for some reason, maybe the sanitation need to force a stronger law over here, because everybody throw his trash just everywhere. You don't know this trash came from a commercial store or came from a house or came from an apartment. It just, I'm in two places. I came to this neighborhood new, and I swear I do my best to clean the neighborhood. If you guys see, maybe I'm the only one on my block now. I go outside almost every day with the blower and a broom and a shovel, and I cleaned up almost in front, not only my store, also 2 stores down and 1 store up on my left.
That's wonderful to hear.
Thank
I know
you.
it's important for that neighborhood. I go by there a lot, so yeah.
Thank you, Yusuf, and thank you, Ms. Westerdahl. Want to respect Ronald Banks, has his hand raised for some time.
Okay, I'll be very brief. I concur with everything that was said previously. My only concern is regarding the hours that we want the gentleman to stipulate on his application, only because I'm concerned with the process. And that I think we need to have a little further discussion, because we've moved some applications forward without any stipulations. And I think they would have some concerns about that. And I just think that, yeah, maybe we should say sell liquor at a certain time. But I think we have to establish that as a policy, and we need to probably discuss that a little further. So I'm
Sounds
just
good,
putting it
Ronald.
out there for thought. Yeah.
I don't disagree. Here to clean things up for the next few months. So let's get it done. And Ms. Boyd made the same point. And I think it's one that we've heard a few times. So I think we can make some changes. Ms. Cohen, bring us home last, as brief as you can, possibly.
Yeah, okay. I just want to know, is there any soundproofing in the restaurants? Was any soundproofing made in the restaurants? Because I see the signatures and everything, but I don't know if intentionally the addresses are marked off. Obviously, the signatures must have come maybe from your other restaurants, because this restaurant isn't open yet. Whatever, but I want to just know if there's like soundproofing.
A new construction has been done just in the restaurant and in the 2 apartments upstairs. And all the floors, the roofs, it was insulated, all of it insulated.
Okay, I hope that's gonna, I'm happy to hear that. I hope that's gonna help, because if there's families around till 11 o'clock, I think it's gonna be helpful for them that if they don't hear any music and anything, when they put the kids to sleep.
Believe me, who stands outside on my sidewalk is not gonna hear my music. We're not gonna have no music like that at all.
Okay, that's making me very happy. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so thank you all for your comments. I hear a consistent theme, which is that folks would like to have a stipulation around hours of service of alcohol included as a rider to this application. And so Yusuf and Ms. Tejada, would just ask, is 5 p.m. until close in acceptable hours for you to serve, or would you prefer 4 or 5?
Would 4 be possible? Is there any type of flexibility when it comes to that? Maybe on the weekend?
Yeah, I think on the weekends there would probably be more flexibility around 4 o'clock. We could probably do 5 p.m. Weekdays and then 4 p.m. on the weekends. Would that be amenable?
But because sometimes you have birthday party, you have something, they come early, they start at 2, they start at 2:30 on Sunday, especially on Sunday.
Yeah, I understand the weekends are different. Yeah. So you want to do 2 o'clock on the weekends and 5 o'clock weekdays?
Yeah, that will be cool. And that's the only thing I will ask if somebody else asks for a liquor license. If you guys want to issue anybody else in my area, just please let him follow the same rules. So I'm the only one left.
Understandable. This is why we want to have this conversation, for sure, as a business, so that you wouldn't want to be the only person who's stuck with those rules. becomes complicated, right? There are some restaurants that serve brunch, maybe starting at noon. There are some places that, on the weekends, right? And so should we have these same stipulations on the weekends is a question, I think for the committee to discuss versus weekdays, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like you don't want to be serving alcohol during like school hours, basically. But for the weekends, there are many businesses that survive on brunch in this neighborhood. And not being able to serve alcohol during brunch hours can be devastating, which is why I think this needs to be a really thoughtful process that we go through. So I would urge us to maybe consider hours of operation on the weekends rather than, because otherwise we are going to stunt some businesses from even being able to serve brunch. So would we be comfortable with hours of operation on the weekends and after 5 p.m. on the weekdays?
If you're talking to me, yeah, I'm fine.
Yep. Sounds like y'all are good to go on that. I'd love to hear from some of the committee members.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So, let's just say we'll move forward with the stipulation. After a while, let's say after he's opened and he's been in business for some time, would there be any type of flexibility on having a change? Going by,
From a renewal for a renewal in 2 years, yes.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. That was my question.
I see a hand raised from Carmen Martinez. Carmen, please go ahead. Carmen, if they have something to say, you just have to come off mute. You are
Okay, sorry, I'm on my phone. So my question being, out of fairness, we had other applicants that we voted on already. We didn't put any stipulations on their hours. We are now just dealing with one applicant. The committee has not voted on this issue. They have not had discussion within the committee about this issue. So I don't think it's fair for us to now pick one applicant out of all the applicants that have already been voted on to tell him that his approval is based on stipulation of his hours of operation. Are you going to go backwards now, retroactive, to all of the other applicants who have been voted on and ask the same of them?
Oh, I understand. This is why this is a complicated situation. So, open to comments from other members of the board.
I'm just, my whole thing is that there needs to be fairness. I understand that it's complicated, but if you're going to decide to do it for Mr. Yusuf, what about the other ones that have not been required any stipulation when the vote was made?
I think it's probably going to be a conversation that this committee needs to have, and we probably need to change our application next. So that's my thoughts. Ronald, I see your hand raised, and then Teresa and Ms. Boyd.
Yes, I agree. I think it's something that I think it would be unfair to do it to this gentleman initially without us having some conversation about this and how we're going to do it going forward. I think it would be unfair since we've already allowed folks to go through this process without this. And then we're going to start with this, and then we may have a conversation and decide maybe it's not practical.
Yep.
But we've already asked them to have the stipulation. So to make a long story short, I think we need further discussion before we commit to that.
Thank you, Ronald. Teresa.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have the stipulations that we're asking of USEP. This is what people are wanting in the community. I think it's a good idea. Let him be the first. And as people reapply, we can add that on to everybody and ask for the change. This is what Mr. Yusuf is doing. This is what his business is doing. This is what we want in the community. As people reapply, if there's problems, we can bring it up. If there's no problems, let it go forward. I think it'll be fine. I think he's willing. It seems like a good idea. We want the community in that area to be happy. We want people to be comfortable with what's happening with his business. So let's do the best we can to be proactive. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Ms. Boyd? You are muted currently. Turn off the camera, which is right next to the unmute button.
Can't hear you, Alicia.
Yeah, sorry, Alicia, we can't hear you at the moment. We'll go to.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I think that it's important for us to understand, and I agree with Tara, like we have to start somewhere, right? There's always, every time we want to do something in our community that protects us, there's always, well, you know, we've let everybody else do it, so then we could just keep moving forward and just continue that pattern until we discuss it. And then we just keep getting applications. Second, we have put restrictions on applicants as far as liquor licensing, opening and closing. And so you know, we're not talking about the closing of a facility. We're talking about the service of the serving of alcohol. I mean, again, you know, there's always, oh, but you know, again, I constantly hear this from this committee. Oh, we haven't discussed it. We haven't discussed it. Oh, this is new. We don't want to do this to them because we didn't do it to everybody else. But you have a 2-year turnaround. Every application has to come in front of this community board every 2 years. And so, you know, you start the process with one person and then you keep it. And let's have these conversations, because you know, it's very frustrating for the community to continue to have these establishments do what they want to do. We come and complain, and then all the committee says is, oh, but we never, you know, stopped them from doing it before, so now we can't do it now. Let's start to finalize something in this committee and start to have a policy in this committee that we can sit there and protect our residents and have, you know, businesses that are cooperative to us and will work with us. I personally don't see anything wrong with allowing the 11, you know, to, you know, our operation hours on the weekends and restricting it to 5 o'clock on the weekday. This is a residential neighborhood. It is not a commercial neighborhood. And putting those restrictions, I don't think is that bad, especially if the owners are also in agreement with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Eve, I can't tell if that's a new hand or an old hand.
Yeah, I just want to know, is it possible we can table it till we have a discussion and then bring it up again, and then we'll have more clarity of how we can move forward with this? We're not saying we're not moving forward with it. We're just saying we want more clarity and to do this. I mean, obviously, there's always a beginning of when we start any new process or any new requirements. There's always one day when it starts, and the people that, you know, had it before, they're have either had an advantage or a disadvantage until it comes up for them again. So there's always going to be a time when it's going to start where it's not going to be fair for the person that did it last year or last month or 5 months ago. But at the same time, it is a real concern that we have to like talk through it and work through it and make it really a feasible and a realistic requirement. And so there is something to be said that we're requiring him to do something that that we really don't know yet. After we have all the discussions, are we going to adjust it? Are we going to, are we going to change here and there and adjust things? If they're okay with, if we're okay with tabling it and then bringing it back, let's ask the business owner, would he rather us wait and would he rather wait and let us discuss it and finalize what exactly we'd like to amend? Or would he rather just have the 5 o'clock during the weekdays and the 11 on the weekends?
I think that is a reasonable suggestion, Eve. We could ask the applicant. I see Ms. Tejada, you're here. I'm not sure if Yusuf is still here. Would you?
I think I lost connection.
So we were just discussing, and is Yusuf here or is he with you? No? Okay, so that makes it harder. We were discussing basically whether you'd like to move forward with an amendment to the application for hours, or whether you'd like for us to wait on basically having a discussion, and then we might be able to hear your application at the general board meeting. So it's a question. Oh, here comes Yusuf. It's a question of urgency for you.
I have a question. I'm sorry. So once you guys have gone through it. Would this be implemented to all the other license holders in the area? That
It would likely, we haven't had the discussion yet, so we don't know what is going to be implemented
Got
across
it.
the board. It's more likely that this would be applied to new applicants. So as folks fill out the application and fill out like renewal applications, we would be asking them to
Okay.
put hours of operation. I also can't say for sure whether it's going to be flat across the board. You know, Flatbush Avenue is different than Maple Street, is different than another block, is residential blocks, commercial strips, like there are different considerations for each application. So unlikely to be a flat rule that we are making across all businesses, likely that we would put into effect and a new space on the application asking folks to put in the hours of service.
Understood.
If I had to guess.
I believe this would be to take a decision on. I don't want to talk for him. So Yusuf, basically Primo just suggested if you were okay with holding on to the 5 p.m. during the weekdays, and on the weekends starting at 11 can start the alcohol sales.
Okay.
Just because you're in a very residential area, that's the only reason why they're concerned of having any earlier hours throughout the week.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you. And if we're comfortable with that, and again, that's something that can be discussed, you know, again, at your renewal process. And after this, we're gonna have a conversation with the committee about bring this onto the application for all new applicants. Yes, Yusuf, I see your hand raised.
There is also a bar across the street from me. Sometimes I see they open up at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, understood. Bars are different than restaurants, you know, like each business is different. And again, those folks have a standing license, and whether those hours get shifted when renewal comes around is something I can't say for sure. As you know, kind of each application gets approved at a different point in the cycle. So this is the feeling, I believe, of the committee. And if you're comfortable with it, great. If you'd like us to wait and have a longer conversation on kind of what our process will be moving forward, that's also understandable, and it's totally your choice.
I got it. I understand.
Do you want to wait, Yusuf?
I don't want to wait.
Until they go over it?
I don't. Wait till they go over it.
Until they discuss the whole concept of hours of operation. I mean, when to start sales when it comes to alcohol.
I mean, I don't want to wait. No, I mean, no, right? Like, what do you think? No, right?
I think that we should also be clear in this timeline to the applicant. This means May, the end of May, finalizing a decision and vote. So this application would not appear until our May general board meeting.
So yeah.
No, I don't want to wait for that long.
Okay. So then we'll add a rider, which is 5 p.m. on the weekdays, and then through and hours of operation on the weekends. Yes?
Yes. Was 4 p.m. an option throughout the week?
4 p.m. was the conversation. If that's what you'd like to put in, then you can put, again, the application is your choice. We don't have the rules right now, so if you want to choose 4 p.m. instead of 5 p.m., that is your own.
Yeah, 4 p.m. throughout the week, please.
Okay. And then hours of operation on weekends. Yeah, can you just hold that for me? Thank you, sorry. Okay, understood. So at this, I see iPhone with a hand raised. I'm not sure if that's a new hand or an old hand. And I don't know who it is. But they're not coming off of mute, so there's nothing to add. Okay, at this point, what I'd like to do is call for a vote on this application. I'm going to add an amendment that they intend to serve during hours of operation on the weekends and 4 p.m. until close on weekdays. And I would call this this license for a vote to be passed along to the general board meeting. Mia, if you wouldn't mind running through attendees.
Sure thing. Ronald Banks,
Yes.
Eve Shabby Cohen,
Yes.
Yishro Lehrer,
Has dropped, I believe.
Carmen Martinez,
Yes.
Zlati Machkin,
Has also dropped, I believe.
oh. It seems like, we've lost quorum then.
We lost quorum. Wait, whose iPhone?
Oh, maybe that's who.
Tell the star whatever to open it. People often don't know. They should need to be told. *6 or *9.
Okay, can you wait a second? I think Zlati dropped off. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get her back on.
Thank you very much.
Bear with us. We'll get a person back.
For the person that still has their hand up for the iPhone, please hit
Don't we have
*6.
3 people? No? Isn't 3 good enough? We have Eve, we have Ronald, and we have Carmen.
I'm so sorry, excuse me. That is correct. There is 5. Hold
Yeah.
on. No, 1, 2, 3, 6. You know what it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, Zhang is absent.
Yeah, right. Is an excused absence, correct?
There's an excused absence, so we actually do need Miss Mochkin.
Okay.
The person again with the iPhone, you can hit *6 if you want to unmute yourself and speak.
But this application is approved to go to the general board. Thank you for conversation with us. Thank you for being an active participant in this process and for agreeing to try something new. We appreciate it. It is seen and it is appreciated.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me know.
Thank you. And then Teresa, I can't tell if that's a hand raised.
I'm just, I see that person on the iPhone with their hand up.
Well, they dropped their hand, so
Okay, all
yeah.
right.
I called on them, but they haven't unmuted, so. All right. Great. That is all of our liquor licenses. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't get Zlati back on. She's,
that's okay.
okay.
That's okay. We passed it onto the board. So all 5 of our applicants are going to the general board meeting. We'll see you there. Please show up. We look forward to seeing you there. You're welcome to hang around if you'd like to for the back half of this meeting. So thank you everybody for moving through that. There are a few other things that we should probably get done here. One piece is our community fair planning, which is bulleted here. Mia, I haven't been to these meetings. I'm stepping in now with the chairs. stepping
Yeah.
down.
Thank you,
You're-
Joseph. Have a good evening. To
Thank
be
you.
quite honest, I'm not sure exactly what Janelle had in mind in terms of moving the committee's participation in the fair
I mean,
forward.
probably having FDNY and NYPD present.
Right, yeah, I'm not sure exactly where she was with that, so we're gonna have to touch base to determine what the conversations have been thus far.
I would just say like, let's reach out to FDNY and NYPD.
Gotcha.
Are there any other contacts that we would like to involve? I think it's always great to also have nonprofits that deal with safety involved. I don't know what those are exactly in this neighborhood. I know that we've been in contact with a few. If this committee has any recommendations or relationships with youth serving nonprofits or community serving nonprofits that deal with safety and public safety, I think it'd be great if you could mention those now and you could reach out to them. Any thoughts on that? Any suggestions for the community fair? No.
We can, I think, a rep from Elite Learners came here previously.
Elite Learners.
And then there's Greater Direction now.
Mhm.
That's been doing some things in the community. So those are definitely options. I'm gonna throw that out if we're trying to, grab a hold of a younger population in terms of public safety.
Could you add those to the list for outreach?
Sure thing.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to, I think 2 other conversations that probably should be had. One being what we just went through with hours of operation. My suggestion would be we add them to the application. And like, that's something that we do moving forward. I don't think we want to place like specific restrictions right now. I think it would be good to understand the hours of service that applicants intend to serve and have a conversation with them based on their location, our understanding. Are they a bar? Are they a restaurant, right? Like, there's a lot of considerations at play here. Where are you located? Like, so I think the same as we ask hours of operation, it'd probably be good to ask hours of service. Ronald. You're muted, Ronald. And a little
Sorry,
bit.
I thought I took it off. I'll put it back off. I was going to say, I agree with you, what you're saying about the applications and get some idea of how that's going to work itself out. The other piece for the fair, I was thinking something in regards to elderly services, something
think
that
it's a
some
time
organization that
activity,
works with the
yes.
elderly
And I like the way
and safety. Yeah. My thing is going off and on, so I don't know if you're getting me.
No, I heard your idea would be around doing something for the elderly and safety, which I think is a great idea. Do you know of organizations that do? I mean, we could reach out to maybe Mia also thinking about reaching out to DFTA, Department for the Aging for New York City.
Well, that's a good idea. I don't know particularly, but I mean, I could do some research in the community and see what's available, what organizations. But I think the Department for the Aging is probably the best resource to look into first. So if you want me to, or well, you have the contacts, but that's the place to start, I think.
Yeah, okay, great. We'll start with Department for the Aging, and the board office or me or whoever the person is can begin doing some outreach. Great. Other
And
thoughts?
if you need me to help with that, I'll let me know, and I'll set aside some time to help out if I can. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kinshasa Coghill, and I'm been listening, and this is a great opportunity to interject that I am a vision rehabilitation professional, and I do service individuals that are living with visual impairments, and I would love to be a part of the community fair.
Right. I would say reach out to the community board office. That's the best place to get connected. Mia, can you just name that that email address or put it in the chat?
Sure thing. I'll do both. The contact email for the community board office is bk09-1@cb.nyc.gov. And I'll just
Thank you for that.
Sure thing, not a problem.
Okay. Thank you for attending our meeting tonight, and we hope to see you at the fair. And hope that you reach out to us so we can get you set up with a table.
Yes, I will.
Fantastic. Okay. Let's circle back around to, there's 2 things I want to just finalize is 1, hours of operation versus hours of service and what step we want to take. And then the second piece is going to be around kind of this legislation. I found out today midday that the chair of this committee stepped down. I got to take a brief look at the legislation, but I don't know it in depth, and I don't think other members of this committee do as well. I think we should probably establish a subcommittee to take a quick look at this legislation before we make a comment on it. And then perhaps that subcommittee can make a recommendation as to whether we want to write a letter and what our position is. I think that would be the best way to proceed. I'm open to hearing thoughts. Let's start with hours of operation versus hours of service first, and then let's move to the legislation next. I'd love to get us out of here by 9 p.m. May not be possible, but let's try to make it happen. So first of all, hours of operation versus hours of service. my recommendation would be that we just add a box for hours of service of alcohol to the application so that we can begin to have that conversation as a step. Are there folks who agree, disagree, think we should go in another direction here?
I think that's a great idea. Okay, but to be honest, what is the, let me go outside so nobody hears me. What is the, question with the Department of Consumer Affairs? Like, who actually makes sure that they're doing what they're doing?
It's a good question. It is a good question, you know, so I think there's a few things, right? Like, one, there's a renewal process in this. So if people tell us that this is when they're serving alcohol.
Right.
And then, you know, people say, oh, actually, I went in there and I got, you know, they served me a margarita at you know, 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, then it's different than what was on the application, right? So there is public accountability in this process. That's true. Ask about other levels of accountability, but in my experience, they don't exist.
Listen, you know, at the general board meeting, we said no to Joseph Streamberger, and they have a nice sign on their door now. We are selling beer. So
One point on that, sorry, Zlati. Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure if you were done. You kind of skipped out a little bit there.
Oh, I'm just saying that if we can't, you know, like, we can't even follow through, we don't have the power to follow through on our negative to an application. So I don't know how we can follow through on hours of operation, but I think we should add it to the application. It just gives some kind of accountability, and they shouldn't think that it could just do anything, anytime, anywhere.
One important point about Joseph Streamberger is that they actually do not have a full license yet. They have a conditional license. We've reached out to the SLA, who responded to us that this is a conditional license, which means they have a temporary license right now. They do not have a license for 2 years.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yes. So that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we knew coming into this meeting, and SLA responded to us today when I instructed the office to reach out. So we do have power. Things have been slipping through the cracks over the last few months, and hopefully they won't anymore. I see Rod Herbert with a hand.
Yeah, Primo, just quickly, I think what you said before was great. You know, we should set up hours of service and hours of operation. I would say hours of service, we should start with 5 p.m. If you want to negotiate, go to 4 p.m. Right. And my biggest concern is just, you know, kids, you know, after school walking home and with parents and everything, just the whole, you know, look, just how to manage the look. So I'm for that 5 p.m. and want to negotiate, go to 4 p.m. during the weekday. The weekends, you know, brunch, they're serving, you know, they're serving liquor and, you know, champagne and mimosas for lunch or brunch during the weekend. That's fine. 11 is fine.
Yeah, I would say, like, my suggestion is just that we ask what their hours of service are now, and then we can kind of have a conversation with the applicant once they tell us what their intended hours, and we can have that negotiation. It's just, we have a lot of bars in this community that open well before restaurants too, that are serving during hours of operation. And so we've got to think about what the business impact will be kind of across the entire district. Could we set hours? So my suggestion now is to ask what their intention is, and then it starts a conversation with the applicant, and we can make those decisions. But I also my personal belief is that every block is different, and every area is a little bit different. So, but I hear you.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just as a sidebar, I think that we should take in consideration, you know, their Department of Health listings, because the one for falafel, it was bad. It was very bad.
I hear you. I think one thing that has come up a little bit recently is like what falls under Department of Health, what falls under Department of Buildings, what falls under SLA, you know, and like those are all different pieces. And I know that like all the committees should talk and interact, but realistically they don't. And we kind of like, but I think what we could do is like kind of name for the adjoining committee, whichever one it is that oversees that kind of department of the state or of the city, like, hey, we'd like for you to take a look into this because we saw some concerning stuff come up. But that's, I hear you. And maybe part of our process from the board office should not only be looking at FDNY complaints, but also looking at maybe violations.
DOH, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was bad. Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Rod. So I see Eve Shavi Cohen, and then I think our friend on the phone has their hand raised, but I think we already heard from them. Eve, go ahead.
Yeah, if you could just clarify for me, a conditional liquor license they can get with before even coming to the community board 9?
Mia, do you want to say a little bit more? I can pull up the email. It's not about before coming to community board 9, but they haven't been granted a full license yet. Mia, do you want to speak on this?
Yes, the State Liquor Authority granted them a temporary retail permit in which they have the ability to sell temporarily beer. So we've asked the state, how did they obtain it, since the board did not make a recommendation at all. They haven't heard from us.
So they haven't replied to that question yet, but
They
said-
obtained it on February 15th, and that was after the January meeting when we did not have the opportunity to vote.
Oh, I see. I
what
get
we
it.
can do is we can say, please hold on this basically after the temporary license, right? Like we can make a statement to SLA. And I think that's probably what we should do, given like all of the noise that we've heard recently. Would be my recommendation, unless it's facing opposition. We should.
Right, so my last question is, because it was never, I asked it a few times throughout the time that I've been on the committee, and it hasn't really been answered. What kind of power do we have if we say that we voted against this? Does the SLA say, okay, but we're still going to?
No,
regardless.
I'll be direct. We have wasted way too much time over the course of this year. We've missed too many opportunities. The problem is we keep missing windows in this committee, and like that just can't happen anymore. We can't not be, and not just this committee, right? Like the board in general has not voted. So there is a 30-day window when we are supposed to respond to an application. If we miss that, then we lose power.
Oh
And
my God.
too many times. And we have to stop doing that. Otherwise we
agree.
don't have a voice.
Okay, I totally agree. I hear you. Okay, I hear you. So it's from the general vote.
Honest with you too, this did not happen once last year. It is all happening for the first time this year.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I've been coming, so.
You have been coming. And so thank you for those of you who come in to attend, but also we need to make sure that like we have the right we have a quorum at our general board meetings, because I think we missed in December and we missed in January. And like, that's how these things are happening, is the general board meeting attendance is so weak. We also just need to be getting through items faster. We need to have better decorum in our meetings, so that we can get to a vote and we're not kicked out of school buildings too early. So like we're those are the things we need to tighten up. I think this committee is doing a perfectly fine job, but I would ask for your partnership in making those things happen at the general board meetings, because ultimately, we also need to know the rules, and the other part of the rules is we're going to have to ask for an extension explicitly in writing if we feel like we're going to miss. So like this week, we got through 5 applications. We voted on all of them. We did everything by the book. Great. We'll go to the next stage, which is exec, and then we'll go and they'll all get on the thing, and then they'll all be passed at the general board meeting, right? Like, and that's the way that it should work every month.
Okay, I hear you. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
For sure. Rod, I can't tell if that's your existing hand raised. Yep. Okay. All right. So let's put a motion on the floor to update the SLA application that the community board has to ask folks what their hours of alcohol service will be. I'm putting that motion on the floor. I'm putting a motion on the floor for.
I second it.
Thank you, Eve. Great. So it's seconded. I don't need it thirded, right, Mia? We can just now call it to a vote. Great. Okay. So let's call it to a vote. I don't want to lose quorum while we have folks here. We still have 3. So I'll just
I'm
call.
here. I'm here. It's Lottie. I'm back.
Lottie.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm
What's
back.
your vote?
Oh, what, for this
But
motion?
to ask-
Yes, yes.
To ask hours of
Yes.
service.
Yes,
Yes?
absolutely, yes,
Okay,
yes.
Great. Ronald Banks,
Yes.
great. Eve Shabby Cohen,
Yes.
great. All right, it's done. Mia, let me know if you need any help with updating the application, but I think that should be easy enough, right? Just duplicate kind of the hours of operation, but change it to hours of alcohol service.
Correct.
Great,
Thank you. Oh, will do.
done. Awesome. Next, up next, so congrats, guys. Like, this is a piece that I think we've needed to do as a committee for some time, and I think it'll make a meaningful difference in response to the community's requests. Next would be, we need to think about this legislation that's coming out. Mia put it in my inbox. Again, I apologize. I just had a full workday, haven't had time to read through this legislation. My understanding is that it's essentially framed around the fact that they're basically telling the legislation is that applicants would, if they're within 200 feet of a place of worship, all they need to do is get a letter from that place of worship, creating an allowance for them to then serve alcohol there. So like Alicia's point is like, this is largely around, like kind of deregulation, which is problematic. There are lots of ways that you could fake a letter. Like, how do you prove that a letter is real in order to open a business? Like, I have my own questions around the viability of this as a law, but I haven't read it, so I can't say in detail. I'd love for there to be a subcommittee. Couldn't be, we would need to establish a subcommittee to review this, to take a position on it. Is there anybody here who, so that would be the motion. Can we establish a subcommittee on the new state law for this committee to take a position?
I would volunteer to be on the committee.
And so would I.
Yeah, I would also volunteer to be on the committee.
I'll volunteer as well.
Sounds like we got a committee. Mia, can you tell me the specifics? I want to play by the rules. Can you tell me what the specifics are with establishing a subcommittee? Who needs to lead a subcommittee? Who can be on a subcommittee, et cetera, et cetera? Mia just put the legislation.
So essentially, what we've done, same for City of Yes, as well as someone, you not the chair, but you've covered for the meeting, you report to executive that the committee would like to establish a subcommittee to deal with XYZ. They would have to be approved at exec. From there, Fred would appoint the chair of the committee. And I'm assuming you would make recommendations or just advise who was interested in terms of board membership and community residents, and then the committee would be formed.
Okay. That makes sense. So we need to just like, we need to vote on like a motion to establish a subcommittee here to bring it to the exec. Is that correct as a next step?
That's correct. It will just be handling the legislative matters or drilling down some of the application issues as well that the committee has to handle.
Do you know when this is going in front of legislation or in front of the legislative body?
I think it's still at committee. When I checked online, it's still at committee.
Okay. Oh, I'm looking at the process. Yeah. So it's not on the assembly floor yet.
Yeah, still in committee.
Yep. So it sounds like we have a little bit of time, so we can, and Teresa, you have a hand raised. Do you want to comment?
I just want to make the point that with a subcommittee, the chair needs to be a board member. It can't
Yes.
be,
Yep, good point. Okay, so we have a few, so great, let's vote on this, but before we do, I just want to get a sense of between Rod, Ronald, Zlati, and Eve, any of you particularly interested in being the chair of this committee?
I would, but I think my travel might be a concern with me hopping all over the place.
Okay, understood.
I can be the chair if it's possible. Sure. I'm available.
Okay, so both Ronald and
I have my own
Zlati, you're
business.
coming off of mute. Were you about to raise your hand too? I can't tell.
Yeah, there's something going on with Zlati's audio, but someone with a 205 has had their hand up for quite a while.
Yeah. I was about to say I do not want to, but I was
Okay.
about to request that we could, if it's a subcommittee, could we, oh, now my audio is off.
We can hear you.
Yeah,
We can
no,
hear
I
you.
would just would say that I don't want to be the chair.
Okay, so it sounds like Ronald's ready to be the chair. So let's, I will bring that recommendation to the executive committee.
Can we make that committee meeting?
I'm losing you again, Zlati. What I'd recommend is that you turn off your video actually.
In the board office? That would be nice, if
To
it's
meet in
just a
person.
few of us. If
Yeah.
it's just a few of us, we could do it
depends
in
on
the
the
office, in
availability
the
of the
board
staff,
office.
to be quite honest.
Right.
Because
Okay.
having
Okay, good.
meetings at 9 p.m. at the office, yeah, they would have to
All right,
be
now
more.
I just went off of my earphones. Maybe now you hear me.
Yeah, we hear
Yeah.
you pretty well. Your request was to potentially do the meetings in person. That can happen
Yeah.
as long as you're doing
Yeah.
it before 5 p.m. because we don't want to ask the board office to stay in the office, you know.
Oh, got you.
late.
Okay.
So if y'all are available during the workday to do that, makes sense. If you're not, then it probably has to be at a virtual meeting. Just naming that.
Okay, I guess. TBD.
TBD. But we hear your
Okay.
suggestion, Ronald. I'm gonna bring your name to the exec committee. As a suggestion. Thank you for volunteering your time. So I'm just gonna call a motion so that we can just properly vote on this and get it on the record. Putting a motion on the floor to establish a subcommittee to explore the Public Safety Committee's position on Assembly Bill AD 427.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna call for a vote. First up, Zlati,
Yes.
Ronald?
Yes, I vote
Yes.
yes.
and Eve.
Yes.
Fantastic. We got a lot done tonight. I appreciate your time. I'm gonna call for us to adjourn at this point. I will say just a few next steps. I'm gonna make sure that we're bringing this to exec, this motion that we've just passed. Gonna make sure that we're getting those hours of service onto the application in partnership with Mia. And then there is some outreach that still needs to be done around Smorgasburg. And some outreach that needs to be done around the community fair. So those are our next steps. Did I miss anything from next steps perspective? No?
I don't think so.
Fantastic. I appreciate everyone showing up tonight. I appreciate everyone participating and doing so in a respectful manner. So with that, put a motion on the floor to adjourn.
Everyone.
Second that.
Good night.
Okay, sounds great.
The Primo freight train has left the building.
Primo, appreciate it. Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
Good night.